A huge thank you to Jeff Holmes for bringing you today's video via Patreon. Greensleeves the meme deck versus Rocco's Modern Life, Otrimi, and partners Sidar and Tevesh Sat. That is not a terrible hand, but there's no ramp in it, so I'll go for a hand that actually has some ramp. Yeah, that's not great either, but we can go for Sakura Tribalkai with the Green Sun Zenith. I'll just keep that one. Draw into Crucible of Worlds, just drop a land. Avacyn's Pilgrim from the partner player. Sylvan Library for Rocco. And that's a Lotus Cobra, a decent turn 2 drop for us. Primal Growth from Sidar and Tevesh. Noteworthy that has been kicked, so they get a couple of basics there, losing their Avacyn's Pilgrim. Then playing Aura Mutation, making a couple of Saprolings and blowing up the Sylvan Library. Otrimi plays a Cultivate. We draw into a Worldly Tutor this turn. I think with Lotus Cobra making a mana we can go for Wood Elves with the Green Sun Zenith maybe. Or maybe Nissa Vastwood Seer would be a better idea, then we can play a land into our commander next turn, yeah, I'll go for that. Smothering Tithe from the partners, and then the Sultai player drops an Elusive Tormentor. Auriok Champion for the Naya player. Alright, drawing to the Wood Elves anyway here. So we'll drop the Forest that we tutored for last turn, the Lotus Cobra going to continue to make green mana for us. And we'll just have to play our commander down without any protection. I'll swing in at the Naya player to try and negate some of this life gain. Well, this player doesn't seem to be able to draw into bad cards. A Pattern of Regrowth, or Pattern of Rebirth even, goes onto the Saproling, and I'm sure they're going to be able to sack it straight away. What did I just say? They can't draw a bad card. Skull Clamp going onto there. So now not only do they draw 2 cards, but they get a free creature. The Pattern of Rebirth gets them into a Shadric Silverquill. Then clamping the other Saproling and they go back up to 7 cards in hand. Then dropping and cracking a Terramorphic Expanse. A plus counter went on the Auriok Champion and an Inkling was made, thanks to the Shadric Silverquill. Volo Guide to Monsters for Otrimi. Sun Titan from Rocco, so that can fetch back the Sylvan Library if they want it to. And they do go after Sylvan Library with that. Not going to pay into the Smothering Tithe, we do draw into a land for the turn, so drop that down straight away. That makes us a Badger. We have a Snake in play, just need our Fungus now. Let's get down the Wood Elves here and we can get closer to flipping Nissa around. Get down the Crucible of Worlds here just in case we get into a fetch at some point. I don't want to play into a board wipe and just end up losing the Prowling Serpapard straight away. And there's a couple of flyers over here that'll just go straight in at Nissa. So we're just holding up the Worldly Tutor here, swinging our commander towards the partner player who I'm sure has some interaction for us. Okay, chump blocking with the Inkling. Divine Visitation with a Smothering Tithe in play is always something to be worried about. Luckily there's a counter spell going on to the Divine Visitation. Unfortunately it is a mana drain. Tender Shoot Dryad, that's exactly what we need for our mushrooms. If Saprolings count as mushrooms. They do have the City's Blessings, so the Saprolings will come in as 3/3s on every upkeep. Shadric swings in down the middle. They put a plus counter on all of their stuff, by the way, and they had the Rocco player draw a card. Throwing down Elves of Deep Shadow after that, and they are down to 3 cards in hand. Cyclonic Rift being cast during the main phase by the Sultai player, so obviously that bounces everything back to hand and resets the board. Then discarding a Barlaged Recovery to the black spell, and that turns into Insidious Mist, hexproof, indestructible and can't be blocked, but it is a 0/1. Sea Dasher Octopus going to mutate onto this thing, and that did duplicate thanks to the Volo, so it's actually 2 mutate effects on here now, so I think when this mutates it will trigger the mutate effects twice. Anyway, swinging both of those in towards the partner player. That does trigger twice, so they draw 2 cards. Then throwing down a Llanowar Elves, so getting 2 of those again thanks to the Volo. Mana Crypt from Rocco. Then Crucible of World into play, they play and crack from the graveyard a Fabled Passage. Auriok Champion back into play again, as well as the Sylvan Library. So now that we're just resetting the board, I'm not entirely sure what I'm actually bothered about getting with the Worldly Tutor, to be honest. But probably good to just have a Regal Force in hand, so we'll go for Worldly Tutor here and just draw into a Regal Force. So that will draw us a card per green creature we've got in play when we drop that eventually. First things first, it is a Lotus Cobra, then the Wood Elves, And that is 3 mana, including the mana from the Lotus Cobra, so now we can go for Nissa Vastwood Seer. Gets us into another forest, and we haven't played a land from the hand this turn, so drop that and transform the Nissa. Can't do anything with 2 mana, unfortunately. The Sea Dasher Octopus has to deal damage to a player, so they won't want to attack us, and we can't block this anyway. And we can chump block the Volo, so I think we're okay just plussing here and not bothering with the 4/4, not getting into a land, so yeah, we just pass at that. Grateful Apparition, and down comes the Smothering Tithe again. And then seeing the Elves of Deep Shadow and the Skull Clamp into play again. The Sultai player did pay into the Smothering Tithe there, and now it is Mutate from the Trumpeting Gnar going on to the Indestructible Unblockable. So turning that into a base 3/3, they do get a beast token twice there. Actually get 1 beast token from the first mutate and then 2 beast tokens from the second one, thanks to it already being mutated multiple times. The 3/2 swings in towards the Rocco, and that swings in towards the partner player. 1/1 swings in towards us, drawing twice from their mutate creature. Deciding to draw extra cards from the Sylvan Library, so Smothering Tithe is going to continue to trigger 4 cards in this player's hand. Rocco being played here after the Gala Greeters. Only 1 went into X on the Rocco, deciding to put a plus counter on the Gala Greeters, and decided to grab themselves a Norin the Wary with their commander. And playing an Impact Tremors, so yeah, Norin's going to deal a lot of damage to us with Impact Tremors in play. Drawing to Lightning Greaves this turn, let's plus on the Nissa. Managed to get into a land, which effectively makes us 2 mana this turn. So I'll go for another Nissa, make some additional mana, gives us 10 mana this turn. Norin the Wary continuing to do Norin stuff. Throw Greensleeves into play as a 9/9. Untap a land with the Nissa. Play Prowling Serpapard as well. And then we'll put Lightning Greaves onto our commander. Not going to be able to make use of Hunter's Insight whilst we've got the Greaves on there, but we've got a decent means of drawing cards anyway, thanks to Regal Force. So we'll just have to hold back a blocker to protect our commanders, and I'll swing a 3/3 in towards the partner player. Norin comes back into play. They already gained 2 life from the Bala Greeters last turn. Yeah, so they can choose any they want this turn. It is a plus counter on it. They gain life from Auriok Champion again. Skull Clamp goes on the Elves of Deep Shadow. Bunch of mana being tapped down, in fact completely tapping out over here, so that is a Plot Out the Sky. Destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents, so we lose our Lightning Greaves and our Planeswalkers anyway, and they're going to make a bunch of tapped Inklings. Nature's Law for Oltrimi. Well, Field of the Dead's come into play at some point as well. Don't think they tutored for that, they must have just played it from hand, so making a zombie token. Well, not struggling to get into mutate creatures, a Dreamtail Heron now. Yeah, they haven't had a lot of card draw particularly, so pretty good going that they're getting into all this mutate stuff. Making 3 beast tokens on the first one. Oh, it was actually 2 beasts and a card draw. This time it's 2 beasts and 2 cards drawn. And that goes over the top. So it's a 3/4 flyer now. And they have 6 cards in hand. 4 mana available to them with the Dorks. Playing another land. And now the Scarab God going down to 4 cards in hand. The 3/4 mutate flyer swings in towards Rocco. Ending with 6 cards there because they drew a couple thanks to the Octopus. And when the Scarab God came down, they did make a copy of that, so this is the token version thanks to Volo. And they put the legendary non-token version back into their graveyard, or back from their graveyard into their library, 3rd from the top. Sun Titan entering play. Took back the Crucible of Worlds with the Sun Titan and now passing the turnover. We draw into a Strip Mine, so going to make some mana here with the Lotus Cobra, as well as getting into Badgers again. And I think I'll go for Balaged Recovery here. And we'll go after our double mana once more. Then play out Nissa Who Shakes the World again. And untap a land. And we'll swing in at the partner player with all those Inklings. That can be a couple of 3/3s and a 10/10. Try and make them chump block with this. If they don't, then we can draw a bunch with the Hunter's Insight. Alright, they decide to take it, so we're going for Hunter's Insight onto our commander. We're going to hit our opponent for 10 commander and draw 10 cards. Okay, now we've got access to Azusa, which we can play. And our opponent can't one-shot us as it stands now. They've got 24 power on us here with the Inklings alone. So let's drop ourselves an Azusa. Then we can play one additional land and then another one after this, making a Badger token and floating another green mana. So I'll get down the Elemental Bond here and then play another land. This means that on landfall we'll make a Badger and draw a card thanks to the Elemental Bond. Drew into the Sakura Tribe Scout. Let's go 3 visits because it's free. And with the floating mana, I suppose we might as well just drop the Sakura Tribe Scout. That's going to be really good if we can keep drawing into cards and playing a bunch of lands with that. And we'll just pass like that. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything during our opponent's turns, but they might draw us into something like we might be able to draw into something off a wheel or something like that and make use of the 2 mana. Might as well just hold it up if we're not doing anything else from our hand. Felidar Retreat, putting plus counters on all of their stuff is maybe a way of one-shotting everyone with the Inklings. Hopefully they don't have a fetch here. Of course they do, they drop down a Fabled Passage, so that is going to be 2 plus counters on all their stuff, making these 4/3 flyers, not to mention the fact that they have Vigilance as well. Then Shadrick's Silverquill back into play again, can put a plus counter on all their stuff if they want it to. They do put a plus counter on everything, making these 5/4s, and they gave a card draw to Tunon, the player in the middle here. And now starting to swing everything in at them, so we're being largely ignored. I imagine they can still take care of us anyway. Yeah, now starting to swing in towards us. 8 creatures they need to swing in at us here, that is 7. So we go down to 2, our opponent over here goes down to -1. Haven't seen the impact tremors come down again, thankfully. They are obviously going to proliferate on all of their stuff here. Champion of Lamholt. See how many creatures they can get out here. They've only got 1 creature or 1 card in hand at the moment. Then playing another Aristocrat effect. Whenever a creature enters under an opponent's control, you can have them lose 1, so we'll have to be careful dropping lands next turn. Then they can throw away their Sun Titan if they want to get the Impact Tremors back here, and looks like they are going to do that. It is Impact Tremors that they go for, so we will go down to 1. They trade the now 6/5 Inkling with a Sun Titan. Norrin comes back into play at the end of the turn and triggers all their stuff. Okay, so surviving at 1, see if we can... I think Ugin is pretty much our only out here. So it's going to have to be Return of the Wild Speaker to draw a bunch of cards. I think we have to play the extra planar lens first. So that will exile Norrin the Wary, and if that comes into play again, then Impact Tremors is going to kill us off. Get rid of the creature land before that gets wrapped up in a board wipe. Did lose a little bit of power and toughness there from the Greensleeves, but yeah, I'd rather just have the double mana available to us, or even more mana available to us, I mean. So each land tapping for 3, we will draw cards equal to the greatest power. Do not manage to draw into an Ugin. We do get a Commander's Plate to get rid of this player though. Throw down Commander's Plate. Can't play any creatures, so we can't play the Regal Force thanks to the Suture Priest. Yeah, do we just throw Nature's Claim onto the Impact Tremors just in case? Yeah, let's get rid of this player first. That is now a 15/15. Managing to knock that player out at -6 and 25 points of commander. So then we have to gain some life and draw some more with the Life's Legacy. So we'll sacrifice our commander to do this. Oh, I actually thought this gained life. I'm obviously thinking of the 4 mana instant version. Draw cards equal to the sack creature's power. Okay. Let's see. Still not getting into Ugin. Untap a land with the Nissa. We can actually play lands now, can't we? Because they're not going to make creatures. Can't believe we haven't seen any removal. So we need rid of the Suture Priest and we need rid of Impact Tremors. Let's throw down the Nykthos. Make a green mana. And tap down the Nykthos. That makes 9 mana for us. So then we can put Commander's Plate onto something. We'll put it onto the Prowling Serpapard. That will cost 5 mana to do it because it's not our commander. Then we'll go for Rishkar's Expertise. Drew us a bunch of cards, see what we got into. Yeah, nothing too useful there, unfortunately. So just get down a Garruk Wildspeaker so that we can untap the Nykthos. We'll get out the other Garruk as well and try and draw even more cards. We've got 30 left in the library. Minus that down straight away, we'll draw us 7. And now seeing the Gaia's Cradle, which we will throw down. Got into a fight spell as well, so we can get rid of the Suture Priest. So playing that straight away will allow us to get creatures into play. Okay, tap down the Gaia's Cradle for 11 mana. Then Garrett can untap both the Nykthos and the Gaia's Cradle. Play out our commander again. Drew into another card, that was the Tireless Tracker this time. Drop Reliquary Tower, throw down the Exploration, and then play the Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. Tap down the Nykthos for a bunch of mana again. Now floating 18, we will go for the Mana Reflection. Throw down Wayward Sawtooth. Draws us into Beast Within, so we can get rid of Impact Tremors now. Throw down a Forest, triggers the Lotus Cobra and our commander, which will cantrip us again. Got the Great Henge as well, so can gain some life with that one. Tap that down, gain 2 life and make 2 mana. And while we're at it, we might as well play out a Spore Mound and get the meme completed here, Snakes, Badgers and Mushrooms. Draws 1 from the Elemental Bond and 1 from the Great Henge. Play out the Foundation Breaker, get rid of that Impact Tremors I think. Can get out even more Saprolings here with a Tendershoot Dryad. Song of the Dryads onto Champion of Lambholt would probably be a good idea I think, so that we can hold on to the instant speed Beast Within. Re-equip the Commander's Plate to our commander. Might as well throw out the Sakura Tribe Elder, not going to crack it, but it will cantrip off the Great Henge here. Alright, and our opponent decides to scoop at that. We drew into the Kenrith's Transformation there. We have 3 life and 13 cards left in the library. All I was ultimately going to do there was play out the Mana Crypt and likely point, I think we have a Nature's Claim in hand somewhere. Yeah, likely point a Nature's Claim at that. Might have got a permanent back out, probably I was going to say the Fight spell, but obviously that's not a permanent. Yeah, not sure. Might have got the Nissa Vital Force into play there as well. But ultimately the plan was to go wide on my opponent, or maybe even get commander damage off on them next turn. And we even managed to go Badger, 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 Badger. No mushrooms apart from the Spore Mound, that counts. And then we have a Snake as well. So managing to win against the odds as well as complete the meme. So hopefully you all enjoyed that one. Please leave it a like if you did, because that really helps with YouTube's algorithm. And if you want to help financially support the channel, then you can do so through Patreon via the link in the description below. Huge thank you to all of you that do that already. It is pretty much what's keeping me around at this point. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.